Uncertainty is a part of life, but we spend so much time trying to avoid it. We want answers before we take the leap. We want guarantees before we invest in a dream, commit to a relationship, or take a step in a new direction. We say, I'll move forward when I know for sure, but what if that moment never comes? We live in a world that tells us to plan everything, to map out every step, to have a 5-year goal and a backup plan just in case. But what happens when life doesn't follow the script? What happens when the job offer doesn't come through, when the relationship shifts, when the path you thought was yours suddenly disappears? Here's the truth. Uncertainty is not the enemy. It's not something to run from or to fear. It's an invitation to grow, to trust yourself, and to step into something greater than what you've known. Think about the moments in your life that changed you. The times when you discovered a new strength, a new passion, or a new sense of confidence. Did those moments happen when everything was predictable and easy? Or did they come when you were standing at the edge of the unknown, unsure but willing to try? We often look at uncertainty as a stop sign, but it's actually a doorway. It's the space where transformation happens. It's where creativity, courage, and resilience are born. When we embrace uncertainty instead of running from it, we open ourselves to new possibilities that are often greater than anything we could have planned. But embracing uncertainty doesn't mean ignoring fear. It doesn't mean pretending that the unknown isn't scary. It means recognizing that fear and still choosing to move forward. It means acknowledging the discomfort but refusing to let it keep you stuck. We tell ourselves stories about uncertainty. We say, I don't know enough yet, or I'm not ready, or what if I fail? But what if we change the narrative? What if instead of saying, I don't know enough, we said, I'm willing to learn? What if instead of saying, I'm not ready, we said, I'm ready enough to start? The truth is, nobody has it all figured out. The people who seem the most confident, the most successful, the most fearless, they have doubts too. The difference is they don't wait for certainty before taking action. They step forward even when they don't have all the answers. Think about a time when you hesitated because you weren't sure of the outcome. Maybe you held back from applying for a job because you weren't sure you'd get it. Maybe you stayed in a situation that no longer served you because the next step felt unclear. Maybe you kept quiet when you wanted to speak up because you weren't sure how people would react. What would have happened if you had trusted yourself just a little more? What if you had taken the step without knowing exactly where it would lead? We cannot avoid uncertainty, but we can choose how we respond to it. We can let it paralyze us, or we can let it push us forward. We can see it as a threat, or we can see it as an opportunity. Because here's something powerful. Uncertainty is where growth happens. It's where we discover who we really are. It's where we learn that we are stronger, more capable, and more resilient than we ever imagined. So what if instead of fearing uncertainty, we welcomed it? What if we saw it as a chance to learn, to expand, and to become? What if we trusted ourselves enough to step into the unknown, knowing that no matter what happens, we will figure it out? Uncertainty is not a stop sign. It's an invitation to be brave, to trust yourself, and to take the next step, even if you don't know exactly where it will lead. Courage is not about waiting until fear disappears. It's about moving forward even when your hands are shaking, even when your voice trembles, even when doubt whispers in your ear. We often think that the people who accomplish great things, who chase their dreams, who step into the unknown are somehow fearless. But that's not true. They feel fear just like we do. The difference is they don't let it stop them. We tell ourselves, I'll take action when I feel ready. I'll make the change when I'm sure. I'll step forward when the fear is gone. But if we live by that belief, we'll be waiting forever. Fear doesn't vanish before we move. Fear fades only after we've taken the step, after we face the unknown and realize we are more capable than we thought. Think about the first time you tried something new. Maybe it was speaking in front of a group, going to a new place alone, or starting a job where you felt completely unqualified. At that moment, you probably felt unsure, nervous, maybe even terrified, but you did it. And after you did, something shifted. The fear lost its power and confidence took its place. That's how courage works. It's not a switch that flips on when you have all the answers. It's a muscle you strengthen every time you choose action over hesitation. Every time you take a step despite the fear, you prove to yourself that you can handle uncertainty. And the more you do that, the more trust you build in yourself. We've been conditioned to believe that clarity comes first, that we need to know exactly what we're doing before we start. But the truth is, clarity comes from action. You won't find confidence by waiting. You won't gain certainty by overthinking. The only way to know what you're capable of is to do the thing that scares you. Think about a time when you held back because you weren't sure. Maybe you hesitated to start that project, to have that difficult conversation, to take the leap into something new. What did that hesitation cost you? How many opportunities have slipped away because you waited for the perfect moment? Now, think about a time when you acted despite the fear. When you took a deep breath and went for it, how did that feel? Even if things didn't go perfectly, you likely felt a sense of power because you didn't let fear win. You proved to yourself that you are stronger than your doubts. That's what we forget. Every time we act with courage, we collect evidence that we can handle uncertainty. That evidence builds confidence. And confidence isn't about knowing everything. It's about trusting that whatever happens, you'll figure it out. But here's the hard truth. If you wait for certainty, you'll stay exactly where you are. If you wait until you feel completely ready, you'll miss out on the life waiting for you. Growth requires risk. It requires stepping into discomfort. It requires choosing courage over fear. Even when your heart is pounding, you don't have to have it all figured out to start. You don't have to be fearless to be brave. You just have to take the first step. Because the moment you do, you're already proving to yourself that you are capable of so much more than you think. We live in a world that teaches us to crave control. We plan, we predict, we analyze every possible outcome because we believe that if we can just control everything, we'll be safe, we'll be successful, we'll avoid failure, rejection, and disappointment. But the truth is, control is an illusion. No matter how much we plan, life has a way of surprising us, and sometimes those surprises shake us to our core. We think that if we can control everything, our careers, our relationships, even people's opinions of us, then we'll be okay. But have you ever noticed that the more you try to control something, the more anxious you feel? The more you grip tightly, the more things seem to slip through your fingers. That's because control isn't security. It's just a temporary comfort we cling to when we're afraid. And when we inevitably realize we can't control everything, we feel frustrated, defeated, and sometimes even lost. But what if the real power isn't in control? What if it's in trust? Trusting yourself, trusting the process, trusting that even when things don't go the way you planned, you are still capable of handling whatever comes next. We get so caught up in trying to force things to go a certain way that we forget one simple truth. Life is unpredictable. There will always be uncertainty. There will always be moments when the path ahead isn't clear, but that doesn't mean you're not moving forward. It doesn't mean you're failing. It just means you're human. Think about all the time and energy we waste trying to predict outcomes, trying to make sure everything turns out just right. We overthink decisions, replay conversations in our heads, and stress over things that haven't even happened yet. But what if we put that energy into trusting ourselves instead? What if instead of needing to have all the answers before we take a step, we trusted that we'd figure it out along the way? What if instead of needing to control every detail, we focus on what we can control, our mindset, our choices, our ability to adapt? Because here's the thing, no matter how much you plan, you will never have absolute certainty. There will always be variables outside your control. The job you want might not happen. The relationship you thought would last might change. The path you expected to take might suddenly disappear. But that doesn't mean you're powerless. It doesn't mean you're lost. It means you have a choice. You can either spend your life clinging to control, exhausting yourself trying to manage the unmanageable, or you can choose to let go just a little, to loosen your grip, to trust that even in the unknown, you are still capable. And that's where real confidence comes from. Not from controlling everything, but from knowing that no matter what happens, you will figure it out. Because you always have. Think about the moments in your life when things didn't go as planned. You adapted, you adjusted, you kept going, and even when it was hard, even when it felt impossible, you made it through. So maybe the goal isn't to control every outcome. Maybe the goal is to trust yourself enough to handle whatever comes next. To know that even in uncertainty, you are still strong, still worthy, still growing. Maybe the goal isn't to eliminate risk, but to have enough faith in yourself to take the next step, even if you don't know exactly where it will lead. Because control is an illusion. But your ability to navigate the unknown, that's real, that's yours. And that's what will carry you forward no matter what. We often think of vulnerability as weakness. We've been taught that showing uncertainty, fear, or imperfection is something to be avoided. We tell ourselves, if I just had more confidence, I wouldn't feel this way. Or if I was really strong, I wouldn't be struggling. But what if everything we've been taught about vulnerability is wrong? What if vulnerability isn't a sign of weakness, but the birthplace of strength? Think about the moments in your life when you felt the most alive, the most connected, the most proud of yourself. Did those moments happen when everything was easy and predictable? Or did they happen when you put yourself out there, not knowing what would happen next? When you said what was in your heart, even though your voice shook. When you took a risk, even though there were no guarantees. That's vulnerability, and that's courage. The truth is, we cannot live a full, meaningful life without vulnerability. It's the foundation of love, of creativity, of leadership, of real connection. It's the thing that allows us to grow, to try, to learn, but we resist it because it feels uncomfortable. We don't want to be seen struggling. We don't want to admit we don't have all the answers. We don't want to risk failing in front of others, so we build walls. We tell ourselves, I'll open up when I feel safer. I'll take the chance when I know it will work out. I'll speak up when I'm absolutely sure I won't be judged. And in doing that, we protect ourselves, but we also keep ourselves small. Avoiding vulnerability doesn't just keep us safe. It keeps us stuck. It keeps us from deep relationships because we're afraid to be fully seen. It keeps us from chasing our dreams because we're afraid of failing publicly. It keeps us from real growth because we're so busy trying to appear strong that we never actually build strength. But here's the paradox. The moment we stop running from vulnerability, we find our real power. The moment we allow ourselves to be seen fully, honestly, without pretense, we stop being afraid of what others think. The moment we take a risk, even when we're uncertain, we prove to ourselves that we are more capable than we believed. Strength isn't about having it all together. It's about being willing to show up even when we don't. Confidence doesn't come from perfection. It comes from allowing yourself to be real, to be imperfect, to be in progress. We admire people who are authentic, who are real, who show as they are. And yet, when it comes to ourselves, we feel like we have to hide, to pretend, to be perfect. But perfection isn't what connects us. Vulnerability is. And the strongest people are the ones who allow themselves to be seen. Think about the people you respect the most. Are they the ones who have never struggled, never failed, never admitted their fears? Or are they the ones who have been honest about their journey, who have shown resilience not by being perfect, but by rising every time they fall? You don't have to wait until you feel invincible to step forward. You don't have to have all the answers to take the leap. You just have to be willing to be seen, to try, to show up exactly as you are. Because vulnerability isn't a weakness. It's the foundation of courage and the gateway to everything worth having in life. We spend so much of our lives trying to avoid discomfort. We think if we plan enough, control enough, or wait long enough, we can sidestep uncertainty, dodge failure, and bypass the painful parts of growth. But the truth is, there is no shortcut. The only way to move forward is through the doubt, through the discomfort, through the fear that tells us to turn back. Avoiding uncertainty doesn't remove it. Ignoring a problem doesn't make it go away. Pretending we don't care doesn't erase our desire for more. The things we try to push down, the insecurities, the fears, the uncomfortable truths don't disappear. They just sit beneath the surface, holding us back in ways we don't even realize. And the longer we avoid them, the more power they have over us. We tell ourselves, I'll take action when I feel more confident. I'll make the change when I'm sure of the outcome. I'll move forward when it feels easier. But waiting doesn't make things easier. It just makes us feel more stuck. The only way out is through the fear of failure. through the discomfort of learning something new, through the uncertainty of not knowing how things will turn out. It's messy, it's unpredictable, and it's necessary. Because everything we want, the confidence, the growth, the success, the deep relationships, lives on the other side of that discomfort. Think about the times in your life when you grew the most. Was it when everything was comfortable and certain? Or was it when you faced a challenge head on, even though you were scared? Was it when you took a risk not knowing if it would work out? Not knowing if it would work out. Was it when you chose to have the hard conversation, to step outside your comfort zone, to show up even when you doubted yourself? Growth doesn't happen in the waiting. It happens in the doing. We spend so much time resisting the hard parts of life. But what if, instead of resisting, we leaned in? What if, instead of seeing uncertainty as something to avoid, we saw it as proof that we're stepping into something bigger? What if we stopped waiting for the fear to go away and started moving forward with it? Because here's the thing, the fear won't go away. The doubt won't magically disappear. There will never be a time when you feel 100% ready, but you don't have to be fearless to be brave. You don't have to have all the answers to take the first step. The only way to move forward is through the vulnerability of putting yourself out there, through the uncertainty of not knowing what's next, through the discomfort of growth. Because when we stop trying to avoid the hard stuff, we realize something incredible. We are capable of more than we ever imagined. So stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop hoping that certainty will show up before you take action. Step into the unknown, face the discomfort, move through it. Because everything you're looking for, the confidence, the clarity, the success, it's not found in avoiding uncertainty. It's found in walking straight through it.